That was fast. Ooh, sorry. Let's bring in our first guest, Mr. Chuck Davidson from LiveU. Chuck, before we talk to you about LiveU, long friend of ours. We've known you for years, to industry veteran who's been there for some time. You're kind of new to LiveU, but you're certainly not new to the industry. EduStream, education market, that kind of focus. Talk to us about that a little bit.
Yeah, so we're really excited to be part of this today, Gary. So thank you for having us, and thank you to the folks on the call. You know, I'm really excited today to talk about LiveU and what we're doing in the industry and how we think it's relevant into the academic market, how schools are using it today, and for those that even have an interest in possibly this being a career path and kind of understanding what's relevant today in the industry.
Chuck, I think that's a great thing that you pointed out, because our show is to talk to educators about how they can use this technology, but there's a whole level of using this technology to get a job and get a career. And I think when you talk about what we're going to talk about with LiveU, especially with REMI production, which is remote productions, that's as much a career opportunity as a video solution for schools, right?
You're absolutely right. And we're seeing the industry really evolving to it's really evolving to a REMI workflow, and I'll talk a little bit about why that's relevant and why you're seeing companies within the professional market really evolving into this REMI workflow.
Now, why don't we explain just what REMI is right off the top? Because I think it's just, to the people in education, they're probably like, what is REMI? They have acronyms for everything. Let's explain to them what this one means.
Yeah, so basically what REMI is it's our ability or a process that takes traditional production workflow and really evolves it into a remote workflow. And you think about how important that's been over the last several years, especially with things, not just this country, but the world has had to face with addressing remote workflows. REMI really kind of hit the market at the right time, and it's evolving into really a cost-saving method to allow anyone producing a production to eliminate the costly side of what live production is. And when you think about a live event, if anybody's ever been to a sporting event and you see trucks outside, and that you see the satellite dishes, they're transmitting video. REMI can eliminate a lot of those fixed costs. And so for large productions, companies like major networks or sporting venues like this alternative, because it introduces a very cost-effective way to do a high-quality production.
And REMI doesn't have to be on the other side of the world. Obviously it can be, but REMI can be as simple as taking, let's say you want to do your high school graduation on your football field, but you use your existing TV production facility that may be on the other side of the building, or maybe it's in the high school and the edge. You're going to use the auditorium in the middle school. It doesn't have to be other side of the world to be remote. Remote sometimes is just connecting a classroom to a production studio.
You're absolutely right. You go to a high school football game. Remote can just be a camera operator being able to transmit video via one of our encoders in the backpack, as we're known for, and go right back to the school.
So let's go.
Sorry. Or, and we'll talk about this, you can go to the cloud. So there's a lot of ways to do this workflow.
Absolutely. Now, one of the slogans LiveU has is shaping the future of live video. Talk about that a little bit.
Well, shaping what has historically been done really refers to the core of what LiveU is. We developed a proprietary technology called LRT, and what that really allows us to do is, through a bonding technology, and that's a fancy way of saying taking different types of connections, whether it's cellular or LAN or even satellite with Starlink to some degree, depending on the workflow, we can transmit high quality video remotely to anywhere, from anywhere, via a simple process of a backpack with an encoder and a camera operator.
And we're working with LiveU stuff all over the world. One of the things I like to tell people to get it, people have seen these blue backpacks. And basically, if there's something that happens in the world, there's an earthquake, there's a major sporting event, there's a celebrity being spotted at a remote wedding, or there's a war going on or a catastrophe, you'll see people shooting the show. They're shooting the show with this backpack on. And the amazing thing about the backpack is that backpack might be feeding one studio, 10 studios, 50 studios. It lets you put a cameraman there, but you don't need all those other support people anymore. You need them, but you don't need them to be at the location as we traditionally think of video production.
You're 100% right. And, you think of some really fun examples if you're into extreme sports like snowboarding or skiing or in skydiving. This technology really opens up a platform to be able to go anywhere and transmit high quality video. And I think when you talk about reshaping the industry, that's at the root of what this technology is allowing us to do. It's again a very cost effective, simple means to connecting, through multiple connection points, cellular network, Wi-Fi, LAN, satellite, and transmitting that video locally or literally across the world.
And I think one of the things that we want people to understand is the secret sauce, the LRT, is beaming all that video content to the cloud. But then it can go from the cloud back to your studio. It can go directly to Facebook or YouTube. It could go to a customized page you had. It could go back to another school. It could be used for a broadcast level. And one of the things that I think is interesting with your higher end products is if I had a transmitter in my school, let's say we were down in Texas and we had 5 big high schools, big rivalries and all that. We could have a backpack that served at each home stadium, but the feed could go to everyone who was in the conference. So you have one camera person shooting the video, but all the coaches get access to the video. All the fans get access to the same video. And the camera person, we 2 camera people trained at each school. But now all of a sudden, I don't need 5 complete setups. And I can have a whole conference of people producing, as an example, college football games. Or if I was doing something where it was a distance learning thing at a university where I wanted to work with, there's a college professor who's so knowledgeable in one place and we're going to him and everyone's going to him, he could have the LU300 and his feed could be coming into studios for any schools who were authorized to get that feed.
That's 100% correct. And you're seeing this today in the professional market, where you have freelancers, that go out and they represent multiple networks or affiliates, and they can distribute content to any host of endpoints, if you will. So the recipient could be anywhere or anybody at the same time.
So now we're back to a career opportunity for students, because you could be not just a camera person, but a live shooting camera person if the school had your technology on board, where I could now be the student. Let's say I'm in the Washington, D.C. area. I could be a student who goes and covers things that are happening at the Capitol with my backpack and shooting some video, and that can be going to my school, but any other schools who I want to share that video with as well. It's a remarkable thing because it's on-prem, it's in the cloud, it's hybrid, it's all those technology remote coming together, and you can use any piece of it you want. You don't have to, it's not all or nothing. You use any amount of the pieces you want. It's all there for a workflow that is really bulletproof. I want to stress that the key to the cellular bonding is that you don't rely on a single carrier, a single cell connection to make the video happen. So can you just explain a little bit more why LRT is the secret sauce to all these workflows?
Yeah, so LRT is the proprietary technology that really put LiveU on the map. It's allowing us to bond multiple sources, multiple connections, and to ensure a high quality video transmission that's broadcast quality. So when you think about that, our customer base at the very top end of the market are all the major networks. And I kind of joke with people. I'm like, have you ever seen one of the major networks off air? Have you ever seen poor quality on air for CBS or Fox or NBC? And so for us to be adopted by these major networks is a validation of the quality to which we're able to transmit high quality video that they required for viewing audience.
Yeah, and I want to jump into REMI because I think that's a big part of the whole workflows that we have going in. But I also want to stress that there's a continuum of products from LiveU that start at the very affordable, solo product all the way up to very elaborate products to get more expensive data plans. And if you're interested in any of the technology you see here, give us a call and we'll help explain to you what technology works best for you. And we can even put you in touch with a local reseller who could potentially give you a demo or an online. And you guys have demo abilities too, where I could, if I'm a head of technology for a school, I can set up an appointment for them to see these products remotely with you. Isn't that correct?
Absolutely. Yeah, we would love to have those engagements and kind of educate people on how this workflow works and how easy it really is to do it.
So let's jump into what REMI really is. And I'm going to tell them what it stands like because I got it on the slide now. Remote Integration Model.
Yeah, so I want to give you I want to paint a picture because I think the best way to visualize this is to use something I think most people probably have experienced. If you go to a live event, if you go to a football game or a soccer game, and you see the satellite truck sitting outside the stadium, multiple trucks. If you think logically, that's human resources that have to be deployed. That's physical hardware. That's the talent that has to go to operate this gear. Those are all enormous costs to anyone producing a production. So imagine the idea of eliminating all of that physical hardware requirement, the physical resources that are required to deploy, and you can literally send a camera operator and an encoder and produce the same quality of production as what has historically been done in a satellite truck that most networks have become accustomed to using. So REMI, in layman's terms, is our ability to take that entire workflow process, streamline it to where you can get it down to literally a single operator, and then all of that production work is done back at a facility that could be, miles away or thousands of miles away. And so it eliminates production companies from having to send resources, which is a very costly thing, and use REMI as an alternative means to produce a live event.
Now, sometimes you just get the right question at the right time. So we got a question from Tyler saying, can multiple LiveU field units communicate back to our media production lab in the US at the same time? So I said, wow, my next slide talks about the decoders, contributing encoders and stuff like that. So the answer is yes, absolutely. The only limit is you have to have a server input for each remote person you want to bring in, but you can put as many servers as you want. You can also select one from the cloud at any given time, correct?
Yeah, you're right. When you look at when you look at this diagram that we put up on the screen here, this is really just to kind of give you a visual of at a high level what our technology kind of look like. So when you look at the left side, we're under the portability or the portable section. This is really the field encoding unit. So this is the technology that the camera would attach to in order to transmit video. As you move from left to right, contribution encoders are very similar. They're stationary versus portable. That's really the big difference. And then on the left side, it's really where the back end part of the workflow starts, right? The decode side. What are you going to do with the content? How many camera feeds are you taking for streaming? And then that will dictate the hardware requirements based off the amount of streams we're trying to capture. And, and then you add in some of the ancillary complementary products on the IP solution side. That really just tools that enhance the whole production process.
And one of those ones is in the top corner that I just want to bring, as we talked about. LiveU Matrix really gives you the ability to view the feeds from every single LiveU encoder you have the authorization to see. So you could actually be looking at 16 feeds if you wanted to bring into your show through the Matrix, correct?
Yeah, and to kind of expand on that, if you're in an environment, you're in a school district where you want to share content, Matrix also allows you to be that distribution platform, right? So if you're sharing relevant sports content with an opposing school for a sporting event or something like that, Matrix is the technology that once that live feed is captured, you can use Matrix to redistribute out to whoever you basically authorize to be the recipient of the content.
Cool. Now, Chuck, this is more a technology show than a specific product show, but this slide really shows the difference between the three big encoders for the kind of workflows, REMI workflows we're talking about. The 300S, the 600, the 800. Without going too far in the weeds, can you give us a couple of minutes on what they are and what the difference is between them?
Yeah, really at a high level, Gary. I mean, these are the three primary professional level encoders that we sell. And really the things that the chart is highlighting is what's the max resolution it'll support? What kind of cellular connection does it support? How many physical SIMs, which is a key piece here because this is a cellular device, which is part of the workflow for the bonding, is we can connect to a cellular connection. So it really, when you think about what product would most make sense, it's going to be, are you doing a single camera or multi-camera? You know, what's your concern for cellular connectivity? You may want a unit that has more modems. And then obviously kind of, the technical side of, max resolution and how many audio channels, things like that. So if you're assessing what product you want to use, this chart will kind of give you an overview of the differences between the three primary units.
Excellent synopsis. Excellent. Okay, so let's talk about the highest end possible workflow, and bear with us, we're going to get to the lower end too, but multiple LU 800s. For this, we're really kind of, if you're in education, we're talking now to you on a school district, conference, sector type level for something like this. I don't think a high school is going to have multiple 800s. If you want them, we'd be happy to sell them to you, but I think that's more, I'm not going to call it enterprise because I don't think schools understand that, but it's more like a district-wide or a university-wide type approach, correct?
Yeah, it really is. I thought about this slide, and I'm going to give an example. I recently went to a UCF football game, and I literally watched the camera operator and two volunteer students carrying cables behind a fixed camera. And I think that slide really illustrates the alternative way to which even a university or school can produce something like one of their live sporting events. Because imagine now that camera operator with the blue backpack just walking freely and being able to transmit that video back. The 800 allows you to do up to 4 cameras, which is pretty cool. 4 different angles, 4 different viewpoints of this type of college sports events in this scenario.
Very cool. Next slide is about your EasyLive IO. Talk about that. That's a application that you can use to go along with the LiveU hardware.
Yeah, so LiveU is very excited about this. As you described very well, part of the whole production process in a lot of cases is you're sending video back to a production facility to produce content, doing your mixing or your custom branding. And historically, the workflow has been that's gone to a physical production facility, whether that's on-prem or off-prem. What EasyLive is allowing us to do, and why we acquired this company, is we can take that workflow now and do it in the cloud. So then you expand on what really REMI is in this remote workflow. Now you can do a full production, including the aspects of the producing content you're seeing here, where you may be doing, bringing in remote guests for commentary. You want to do you want to multi-stream to different locations. We can now do that in the cloud.
Graphics, audio, video clips, all through the cloud, all done. Like I said, you don't have to be in the cloud, but if you want to be in the cloud, if you're going with LiveU, the cloud is part of the workflow of the solutions you have access to. And this could be, when I think about this, I laugh. You could be having camera people at the game, it's the away game with 3 cameras with backpacks, and the guy could be mixing it from his apartment in your hometown, and then people could be distributing it and watching it, on the stream that's coming out. And it's just, it blows my mind where we're going with this. And folks, REMI and remote type production is going to be a theme you're going to hear a lot about through out this whole show really because it's where the future of the industry is going, no doubt about that. So rich set of remote production tools. I really think we covered most of the stuff that's in this slide. This is kind of the ancillary stuff that if you know video production, your school that knows video production, you're probably asking, yeah, but what about a teleprompter? What about a studio feed? What about comms? Got it, got it, got it. Correct?
Yeah, you're absolutely right. This is really just, complementary technologies we include that enhance the production for the crew on site, things like tally light and video return.
Yep.
Those are really geared towards the operator in the field.
Cool. And then you went over the benefits of, reducing costs, but for a school, I think one of the benefits also is teach your kids how to use, your students, the technology that is the technology of the future. I like to use the hockey term, don't go where the puck is, go to where the puck is going. And this is the future. And if you're working this into your school's video production solutions, and that's over the course of the whole show, and you want to put a lab in, adding something like a LiveU component just opens up your kids to a whole nother world of experience in production. And I'm telling you, if a kid wants to go into communications or journalism or video production or television or even, I'm going to say Netflix type work, and they say they've worked with a LiveU, that's going to mean something to people, because I know people using LiveU on some very high-end productions just so some director or some producer on the other side of the world can watch what's going on live because he's a control freak and he's on vacation.
100%, and I think about this, it's the cost reduction is obviously a key thing, but I think the other thing to note for educators and for schools is by virtue of just the fact we are offering a low cost alternative to traditional production workflow, this really does bring the best technology into possibility for a school because of the significant savings it's having for virtually everyone. It scales across all markets. So, I think, what I get excited about when I talk to students is this is a very relevant part of where this industry is moving. And I'll also comment on this. We as LiveU maintain databases of freelancers and people that are constantly contracted to help produce some of these events globally.
And I guess I misread our audience a little bit because I got another question from Jonathan O. Is the LU100 married to my server, or can I send the video feed to a broadcaster or the server? I think you kind of just answered that. I could be a freelancer with an LU100, and I just say it's okay for you, who has the server somewhere else, to get the signal, and you can. You can share content with anyone who has a LiveU server, and those servers are a little rack-mounted piece that goes in, takes 2 or 4 LiveU 300, 600, 800 inputs, and I can bring that into my studio. Plus, of course, there's the whole cloud level production of the whole REMI thing that's up there. So the answer is your the only thing your LU800 is married to is, I guess, your creativity and your imagination, because anyone you want to get that video, we can really get it to them, can't we?
Yeah, and I think the simple response to that is keep in mind this is an IP workflow, right? So we can point the content to any destination. So the encoder or the fields unit is a bit agnostic, right? You could one day be working for CBS as a contractor and the next day be working for Fox. It still use the same encoder.
Very cool. Now, I want to bring this down a little bit because not everyone's got the financing expertise level of program that would want to have an LU300 or 680, but they might aspire to it. But there's a great product called the LiveU Solo that is so great for education because it allows you to either take a single camera and stream straight to Facebook or your own web page or what have you, or one of the solutions we really like is taking a mixer, a traditional mixer that you have, like we use a TriCaster or Blackmagic ATEM or a Roland mixer, taking the HDMI or SDI of that out into a LiveU Solo or Solo Pro, and now you can take that production with everything you're doing and you bring your internet with you. So you don't have to worry that there isn't internet when you get there. You don't have to worry as a school, you're very particular about your firewall and your settings and what you allow. So if you want to take your video production team to an away playoff game at the other school, well, that might require a ton of coordination with the other team. Now you have to just say, give me power. I'm bringing my internet with me. I have assured, insured, I have redundancy. The beauty of the LiveU Solo product is I don't have to worry that that person's going to have an adequate internet line for me to produce the video quality I can produce, but I can still do the video production with the crew I have. So there are people who are putting these in a hopper van with, a mixer and stuff like that. There are also people putting it with stuff on a backpack, where they'll have a mixer or a camera alone. And sometimes you're a school district that has a football field that's maybe it's down the block and across the street, and you can't wire that football field for your internet. It's just not in the budget to put a fiber run in there. Well, you can put a LiveU Solo out there, have a little room where you do mixing on the show, and you can actually take that straight to your internet. And also with the new version, we've got SRT, so I really could, through SRT, bring it into my own studio if I wanted to. So I think this is an important product to talk about. I want you to spend a little time about it because this is extremely affordable, especially compared to asking your facilities director to run fiber or run high-speed Ethernet for you to a remote field or a second swimming area, or maybe you have a hockey rink or something that's not connected to the main infrastructure of your IT.
One thing as I think about this while I listen to you talk, and I want to highlight this because I think it's a really cool part of our workflow. You're going to see on this diagram what looks to be a cell phone. And that's exactly what it is. Because in the bottom center, you can turn your phone into an encoder. And I think what's great about this is I think about all the scenarios that would play in an education environment, and you're teaching this and possibly in school or using it to cover events for the school. You could literally have one very affordable LU or LiveU Solo with a simple workflow with an HDMI or SDI camera, stationary covering an event, and your students could have an app on their phone to be a roving news reporter, talk to the athletes, talk to the student athletes. Yep. And that could be multiple streams. That's a very low cost way to produce an entire event. You could literally get away with one simple Solo and a bunch of LU Smart licenses on cell phones, and you've armed your students with the ability to cover an event in any way you want.
I think if you can think about a problem you're having with connectivity or video that seems like it's too expensive from the amount of gear you need and stuff like that, LiveU has ways to make it streamlined and more affordable. And while you may see that there's a cost of data and other things that comes with it, when you add it all up with the flexibility you get and the ability to expand and do what you want to do, it's really a tremendous value.
It really is, and I think that this particular that last slide really is representative of a very cost-effective way to get into a cellular remote production solution.
So, Chuck, I have a question for you that didn't come in from someone else, but I know people always ask that, and that is what's the best carrier? Does it make a difference who I have my modems with? I mean, what's your take on that?
That's a great question, and I'm going to kind of give you one thing that a lot of people overlook. When you're talking about the bonding technology, it is really key when we supply units. We do multi-carrier SIMs for a very specific reason. Everybody can relate to this. If you go somewhere and you have AT&T and your friend has T-Mobile, one signal potentially could be stronger than the other. By bonding multiple carrier SIMs, we ensure high quality. Our approach to our professional customers especially is we suggest that they allow us to put the SIMs in the units. Now, the flexibility is you can use your own SIMs. You can use your own data plans. That is possible. But you're limited then to that sole carrier. When you buy units from us, we offer multi-carrier configurations, and that's purposeful.
Absolutely, and that's one of the cool things about the Solos, have Solo Connect kits. And those Connect kits give you 2 or 4 modems from different carriers, so you're getting that your risk mitigation. You're always going to use you're going to load balance your video. You use the carrier that's got the best connection at that given place at that given time, because we also know, if you're just walking around trying to stream a video at like a sporting event, at times it'll stream great and at other times it won't, and you're sitting in the same chair. Well, by having multiple modems You're kind of letting the LiveU cloud optimize the signal based on where it's getting the best video from. And I like to call it the secret sauce that makes everything possible. And I just want to stress that on YouTube, there are several videos available from our website and your website that go more in depth explaining how the LRT technology works. But especially if you're having a problem explaining this to your technology director at your school, I think if you have them do some research into LRT, light bulbs will go off and they'll realize, wow, that actually is a more cost-effective, smarter solution than me trying to wire up, 100-acre school facility that my school might be on.
Absolutely. Agreed.
Chuck, I wanted to keep the show under 30 minutes. As usual, I failed. We're at 31, but good job by me on this. Good job on you being on the show. Thank you so much for being our kickoff guest for EduStream with LiveU. It was a great show. I think we covered a lot of great areas, and now I want to talk about what's coming up on the next 2 days of the show. So thanks a lot, Chuck.
My pleasure. Thanks for having me.
All right. Day 2 tomorrow. How can you choose the right camera for the right job on your school? We're going to have PTZ Optics, Panasonic, and the HJVC. We're really going to focus on PTZ and Z cameras, robotic cameras, what you need for what works best in what situation, and how it's going to be a roundtable discussion with Paul Richards, Gregor Jones, and Edgar Chain. I'm really looking forward to it. And then the next show is going to be tips for building a school production studio capable of handling all your needs now and in the future. We really want to stress that. We know if you're investing your hard educational dollars raised from taxpayers or tuitions or whatever, you got to make sure those dollars not only go far for what you're producing, but they have to be, you're not going to get that money again next year and the year after. So you've got to get solutions that have some level of future proving that they're going to last 3, 4, 5 years. So we're going to go over the stuff that's really not only what's here today, but where it's going and what's your best thing for that. And Francine, thank you for your question about prices. Yeah, give us a call for prices. The different prices on different products vary. The Solos start at $14.95. A big 8,000 system, quite frankly, gets into $25,000, $50,000 range. It's all over the place. We wouldn't get too mired in prices. You can find prices on our website, but also we'll put some pricing guidelines in our metadata on the YouTube page. So we're looking forward to that show because we're going to have Laurent Messia from Netgear AV talking about his switches for NDI. And if you're a school looking to put in a studio with video over IP, you must go with Netgear switches. We have Chris Burgos. He's just the new tech guru, and Shane Scrivenger from Telestream talking about Wirecast gear. And then we're going to have Julian Fernandez from Epifan Video talking about some of the stuff they're doing with more what I would call appliance type stuff. But they've also got some cloud-based stuff that's really cool also. So this is Gary Bertan from EduStream. Oh, wait. Prizes. Everyone likes free stuff. Let's talk about the prizes we're giving away. We're giving away a Wirecast Pro license. We're giving away an AVIO encoder. We're giving away a Netgear switch, and we're giving away 50 huddle cams? 50 huddle cams. I don't know how we're doing that, but we're giving away 50 of them. So a lot of people are going to walk away with a lot of prizes. Sign up for EduStream if you haven't already. Looking forward to talking to you for the next couple of days. This is Gary Bertan. Thank you so much. Want to thank all our vendors and sponsors. These are the people that are making the show possible. I want to thank them for not only giving us prizes, not only donating to the EduStream, but also giving their time to be on our show to talk about stuff. And once again, brought to you by Broadfield and Videoguys. So thanks a lot, and we'll see you tomorrow. Today's show, LiveU, REMI production, the new production workflow. I think you learned a lot. And I think you can learn even more with our 2 roundtable discussions on choosing the right camera and then building out a studio. So this is Gary from EduStream. Thank you. See you tomorrow.